Understanding instructional planning process is vital in today's technology-enhanced classrooms.
Okay, let me put this. Continue. We are listening.
Distinguish among the concepts of support, strategy, and task, method, medium, and materials.
Okay.
What is learning and why should teachers understand learning?
Yes.
Describe 3 elements you would consider in planning a lesson.
Exactly. You see, I'm picking up the key words so that whenever you are breaking down a question, not only in this module, you look at the key concept. What is it exactly does this question ask? This question is asking us more on instructional planning, and this is in this textbook, which the chapters I told you to look at, section 2, instructional planning. So technology, instructional situations, planning, technology, enhanced learning on the textbook from page 65 onwards. That's what I'm asking about. So the concept of support. So support goes hand in hand with method. So what am I talking about when I'm talking support? Support, I'm talking about the philosophies, the assignment we did, educational philosophies. That's what I'm talking about here. So here, you shall talk about the educational philosophies. We talked about Vygotsky, we talked about Dewey, we talked about Skinner, we talked about Pavlov. So here we are talking about both constructivism and the behaviorism, which I also call it instructivism. So when I'm asking you about to distinguish among what is a concept, I want you to discuss about how a teacher can use both of these support to support the learners. We know about the concept of fading, scaffolding, and so forth. Strategy is closely related, but strategy is different. In strategy, we are talking about the medium we are going to use to get in touch with the students. So for example, right now we are using the medium of the internet to learn. We can use a medium of face-to-face. You can use also things like text. Here we are talking about digital media, text, videos. Those things like PowerPoints are all there. They all fall in there. So what else? Video, text. We looked at some of them here on the textbook. Visual learners, auditory learners, oral. So all those are ways of getting in touch with the students. And then we are talking about the tasks. The tasks here, we are looking at the activities the learners will have to do. So here we have a variety of them, like worksheets, among others. Let me open this and open the PDF, because this PDF, I asked you to download the PDF, and I know that you have downloaded that PDF because you need that PDF. This PDF. This is where we had the idea of the 3 M's in this particular PDF. Which page it is. I'm going to use the one which is already here on this task, which is already here. So that when I'm talking about the 3M, I'm talking about the learning resources, the learning task, and the learning support. So which is making our assessment to be seamless. Basically, that's what I'm asking in this particular question 2.1. So how you're going to use various educational philosophies to support the learners, what we have already learned from the way we have interacted, how we are going to use the various medium to teach the learner. This is support, this is the learning tasks, the tasks that you're going to give the learners, worksheet, quizzes, the learning resources is the materials, books. So we can see that there's also, we say there is an overlapping between tasks, resources, and support. So I want you to look at that diagram to help you in doing this 2.1. And then I think that one is okay for 10 marks, you'll be able to do that. And then the next one is what is learning. We have defined what is learning using the textbook. We defined what is learning from constructivism perspective, whereby the constructivists, they see learning as an inside game. So it's a mental inside situation whereby the student changes their mental perspective. They transit from lower order thinking to higher order thinking. But then we also defined learning from the behaviorism perspective, whereby they are saying learning is an outside thing. And also we also defined learning from information processing perspective, where they see the learner as a computer waiting to be put in information. So if you have the textbook, you'll see a very good definition on page 5 on what is learning. What exactly is learning? How does learning typically occur? Why is the study of learning crucial for educators? And how can learning experience be enhanced? So here we are saying that learning is a very broad concept. You can learn through interacting with somebody both formally and informally. So, but relatively, they are saying it's a permanent change of someone's knowledge based on experience. So if I tell you, if you put your hand on a cooking pot, you will get burnt. Sometimes you'll only believe or gain experience by actually putting your hand there and realizing that when you put your hand on a hot pot, you will get burnt. And then they're saying again, learning is that persistent change in performance, because sometimes somebody might perform very well, but it was just because of luck. Somebody might be a very good student, but because they were ill on that particular day, their performance was not good. We cannot say that they have not learned. But if you look over history, that's why some modules, they give you 4 tests and then they select the best 3, because they want to give you a fair chance so that in case one of the days you are not able to do the test properly, they will see that you consistently, you must have performed at least well in the 4, and then they can choose the best 3. So they are saying again that learning is an enduring. So I will not have said that you have learned if I cannot see an endurance. So somebody might be drunk. That person has changed their behavior. But why will I not say that somebody who is drunk has learned? Lungile, if somebody who is drunk, or somebody who is drunk has changed his behavior, is that learning?
No, that is not learning.
Why? Why, Lungile? Is somebody? I can see a change in behavior in the drunk person. So why has that not be learning?
Oh, because learning is the process of acquiring information.
Okay.
So the person that is drunk is not acquiring information. It's just the behavior that is caused by the alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. Very true. And still, we are saying that the person who is drunk, we cannot see a permanent. Tomorrow, once he has sobered up, he will apologize, and his behavior will not be the same as when he was drunk. So we cannot say that is learning. So we have to be able to identify clearly what is learning and what is not learning. Let's look at an example of learning. Executing a perfect kickboxing. You know, I become very good in kickboxing. That is learning, because it means that I've gotten better in kickboxing. When I'm reciting a poem from my memory, is that learning? Sipokazi. If I learn to recite a poem offhand, have I learned? According to the definitions I've given you. Remember, I've given you 3 definitions. One of them is the behavior change. The other one is the relative change because of experience. And the other one is enduring change. So if I learn how to recite a poem, sipokazi, have I learned?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have learned. Okay, let me ask another person. Deriving and using an equation to solve a novel math problem. Have I learned? Makosazana, if I learn to solve a problem of a mathematical equation, have I learned?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, why have I learned?
How to solve a mathematical question.
So
Problem.
it meant that I have gained some knowledge, isn't it? Okay, let me ask another question. Choosing not to drink milk that has a that smells funny. Philippa, have I learned?
Yes, ma'am, because over the years you get that if it smells funny, don't drink it. If it's looking funny, don't drink it.
So
it's like the very
based on?
It's like life skills, what they teach the small learners.
Yes, based on experience, isn't it? Based on experience. Oh, okay. Exactly, it's based on experience. But I know how a good milk smells, therefore this milk is not smelling well. Okay, now let me ask Lauren. Gaining weight or growing taller because I'm maturing, have I learned?
Yeah, I think I have.
Gaining weight and growing taller.
No, like no.
Why?
Growing taller is something that should happen when you're maturing.
It's a body, isn't it? It's not based, yeah, it's a change, but it's not based on performance. You see, it is not change on, it's not based on behavior, it's genetic. You see? Yes, that's what we are talking about. Even somebody who has drank alcohol and drugs, we talked about that. So please look at page 5, page 6 and 7 to be able to answer these questions, because I want you to be able to we are just not answering the test. We are learning right now. I'm using this test to teach you, and you learn from it that what is exactly learning. And then we are asking, why should teachers understand learning? Why do we need to understand what is learning really? Is it important? Should we understand what is learning? Should we even be having a degree on education? Why don't we just learn history and go and teach history? Why is it important for us to understand learning? We can see even there's a discussion on page 6. Why should teachers understand what in learning? Why are we doing BEd and not just information systems?
Because we have to understand how learners intake information, and we have to understand the different ways that learners can intake information and also the different learning styles that they have in order to get through to the learners with the content that we obviously learned throughout, our BEd. So yeah.
Exactly, very good. We as educators, even I can go to a school. We have heard it when you go for TP, they use our teachers as relief teachers. And you can even go to a class where they are doing history and you are not a history teacher, but you can just be used on that day as a relief teacher because you have the teaching skills. You tell the students, do your assignment on history. I will just facilitate. I will support you. I will moderate the class. I will manage the lesson, even though I will not actually be teaching history, but you can be there as a guide. Because as teachers, we are guide, we are counselors, we are parents, we are everything. We are an ear for the students to be able to talk. So when there's no teacher for the history, as an educator, you can actually go in as a relief teacher because you know how to understand and how to get into the learners. Maybe the learners, they don't even need to understand the history itself on that day. They just need somebody who can listen to them, who can motivate them, who can encourage them, who can ensure that they are doing their homework. because that is what the parents in fact are supposed to be doing. So that's why it is important for us to understand what is learning. And that's why you tend to see that children who are coming from parents who are good in terms of academically, they tend to perform well because the parents will be more involved with the child's work. What are you doing today? How is it going? You know, the child will be more involved. So we are here to be able to, on page 7, to increase our effectiveness. That's why we are doing this Bachelor's of Education. We are here to be able to be efficient in teaching. We are here to be able to do that transfer of knowledge, of skills and values as educators. We are here to make an impact on the learners so that the content that they learn is meaningful. We are here to make learning appealing. And that's why I've been talking about the ARCS model. I'm going to ensure that I send you just an example of what I mean by ARCR model that was developed by John Kelly. It's about the idea of the learners acquiring that information, and then they gain confidence by doing, and then they enjoy their success because we are teaching them things which are relevant. So this ties in very well with ARCL model. And then it is further telling us how can we learning be enhanced. I talked about this whereby teacher A is not using digital media, teacher A is not using a variety of teaching strategies, teacher A is not learning how to motivate the learners both intrinsically and extrinsically. That will make the same topic very different from teacher B, who goes to the classroom with various resources, with various teaching strategies, with various ways of motivating the learners, with various types of activities for the learners to do over array. They will be doing the same topic, but their performance will be different. Why? Because teacher B used an enhanced method, whereas teacher A just gave the students the minimum. Okay, so that is what you are going to look at, chapter. This is chapter 1. Look at chapter 1 for that. And then the last, but here 3 is asking us to describe 3. So when I'm asking about 3, please make sure that there are 3 and not 1, because as soon as they mix everything and then they tell me you must look for the 3 inside, I won't do that. Label your work, space your work when you're doing your exams or tests. You use as much paper as possible. Don't cram your work together. You know, lecturers, they tend to mark students unfairly, not because they want to, because the students, they did not space. White space is very important. Good handwriting is very important. Don't use the paper sparingly. Just write and leave spaces so that the teacher can see this is element 1, element 2, element 3. Encourage your learners when you go to school not to use the paper sparingly, because they will end up being disadvantaged. And when you use the paper regularly, you will tend to write better, you tend to write a bigger font, you tend to express yourself better. So describe 3 elements you'd consider when preparing a lesson plan. So basically, I'm just talking about the lesson plan that we looked with you. What will you consider? And that is in chapter, we saw that in chapter 4. We are going to consider various things. Here they are on page 67. You can consider the student's background. You can consider their motivational levels. You can consider the students' learning styles. You can consider whether students have special needs. You can consider the objective of the lesson, because the objective of the lesson will help you to have the adequate resources that the learners need. Because if you want to say, by the end of this lesson, I want the students to understand the difference between alkaline and acids. I'm just talking in terms of science. Then you will have collected the resources and booked the laboratory so that the students can actually go to the laboratory and look at the differences between alkalines and acid. In the same way,
which you said are these elements?
The elements, they are on page 67. We have all of them here. The elements we are going to consider when preparing our lesson plan is, I'm going to say socioeconomic status. Any of them will do. When we are talking about socioeconomic status, we are looking at, can the students even be able to afford a laptop? Because we are asking them, each one of you tomorrow, to come with a laptop and with a camera, and then I can show you how to edit videos. So then you might ask yourself, will they be able to afford a laptop and a video camera and so on? Then you can say, if they won't, I'll prepare them in groups of 3. So that when they're in a group of 3, at least they'll collaborate and decide among themselves who will come with a laptop, who will come with a digital camera, who will come with a video editing tool, who will do this and forth, and then they can work together. They share. The ones who have and the ones who have not, they work together and share. You can look at the prerequisites. What is the prerequisite for this module? The students must have gone to Game Store and looked at a variety of laptops and evaluated the laptops prices and even brought example of laptops. That's the prerequisite. So any students who will not bring, you even have a checklist. Any students who will not bring the prerequisite, how are they going to be able to do this particular thing? Motivation, we talked about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. You can consider that so that you are asking yourself, my learners, are they generally motivated internally or are they generally motivated externally? Then you can prepare your lesson accordingly. The learning style, some learners, they learn better by talking, visualizing, role-playing, independent, interactive, collaboration, cooperation. Yes, you might not be able to accommodate for all the learners, but you try your best so that the learners who are better in communicating, they can help the ones who are not in communicating, and then you push all of them, because we are not going to say, oh, so and so doesn't like to communicate, therefore I will not bring an oral exam or an oral role playing. You're going to help the learners to get out of their box, the needs of the students, their ability. Remember, we talked about initial knowledge, advanced knowledge, expert knowledge. So you are going to look at their literacy level. Where are the students? Are they advanced? Are they experts in computing? Are they still in the initial knowledge of understanding what is the MS Word, how to format? Then you can be able to prepare your lesson plan accordingly. So, and the learning environment. So you are going to use page 67 to answer that question. Those are the elements you are going to consider when you are preparing your lesson, so that you can prepare your lesson accordingly. Any question on, I finished going through 2.1. Any question? Okay, I see no question. Therefore, I'm going to move to 2.2. So students are clear with that, and using examples, illustration. Don't even be shy. Tell me about the Kwansati High School. I don't mind, because you make up your own hypothetical school to distinguish, to make your work more relevant, so that your work is more appealing, to show that you really understand what is learning. So make your work very interesting. So I'm going to 2.2. From the list below, let me just read for now. You choose one topic. We are going to choose one topic that we are going to teach grade 11 learners.
Yeah, network.
Or network?
Yes.
Oh, that's why I saw you disappeared. I asked myself what happened. Okay, you listen to the video.
Yes.
Yes, please do well and apply. Make this work application. But I'm imagining that I've done quite well in terms of going through that particular question. Yes, and even the students have any question they ask. Now I'm going to question 2.2. Thank you, Tresha. So this is a 60 minutes. Okay. And then include all the essential elements in terms of, you are going to, already you are doing assignment 2 on the lesson plan. You have things like the school, the subject, the topic, the introduction. So I want you to create for me a sample lesson plan, the way we did with you, the one I took you through. So that's what you're going to do. You can select this topic of Microsoft PowerPoint or different PowerPoint views or slide animation, graphics, color scheme. Select any one of these and then just teach us. Basically, I've enjoyed so much, especially when the students were writing the exam. They were actually able to prepare a lesson plan in the exam. I really enjoyed looking at the students demonstrating their wisdom, that I have actually taught them something that they are able even to prepare a lesson plan so quickly in the exam, and it was marvelous. Because why are we doing this? Because the mind is learning that you can actually wake up and say, today I'm going to teach this, and then you quickly come up with a lesson plan. You are learning how to be adaptable. That's the purpose of this test. The purpose of this test is not actually to really push you into preparing a lesson plan. The purpose of this test is to cause you to become fluid in whatever you do. So use this test to make yourself flexible, adaptable, somebody who can think out of the box. That's what I enjoyed when the students were writing the exams. But now that opportunity has been stolen from us, but we are still going to make sure that we do the best. Yes. Then, is that any question? So I'm looking forward to seeing this. If you have a question, please ask. Okay, now I'm going to question 2.3. You are a grade 11, your grade 11 students are learning. Again, now we are looking at the idea of learning. How to prepare presentation using MS Excel. So you are equipping them with a new skill. The student will work in groups. This is the learning support and strategy. And then they will create a research project that you will assign to them. The students are required to conduct a survey. So they are actually doing a particular task on the number of buses, lorries, and bicycles that use a particular road between this hour. So you can see all the elements of the questions are there. The area has been defined, whatever they will do. So they will be doing that every Monday for a 1 month period. During the month of July. They are required to collect, they are required to analyze, they are required to present. So they will physically go and collect, they will analyze, and then they will present. And then the information generated in graphic formats using Excel. So it means that the students, this is just hypothetical, they will open their MS Excel, they will enter their data, and then they'll create for you various graphs. Because when they go to Marian Hill and collect the data and say the number of buses are X, Y, Z, the numbers of this and is that and that, but as long as they have not actually done for me, I wanted to see if I can have something here which I can use. I was looking for something more relevant. Maybe I could have demonstrated, but at least we have an idea of what we are talking about. So the learners are going to do that. That's not the issue now. Your issue in this case is for you to draw up a rubric. Remember last week I talked about the difference between a rubric and a checklist. Lungile, because I want to hear students talking. What's the difference between a rubric and a checklist?
I forgot.
Who can tell us what's the difference between a rubric and a checklist? I did this last week. Anybody volunteer? Please, let's be those people who are going to volunteer. It's very important. It builds your confidence. Anybody, please volunteer.
Can you please try?
Okay.
A rubric is what we will be using to award marks to learners.
Yeah.
And a checklist maybe as what we'll be using where like checking if this has been done or not. Yeah, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. You know, to see whether something has use a checklist to check whether an item has been done or not. So with a checklist, can I give 2, 3, 4, and 5 on a checklist? I'm still talking to Lauren. Can I give you 1, 2, 3, 4 on a checklist?
Pardon?
A checklist will either be yes or no, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I will not be able to give you, like I say, poor, good, excellent, isn't it?
Probably like maybe question number 1.
Yes,
Yes
on
or no?
rubric, isn't it? On a rubric, I will do that. But on a checklist, it will be either yes or no. I asked the student,
Yes.
go and bring a scissors, yes, they brought or not. Bring a seed, yes or not. Bring a cutting from Microsoft, yes or not. Go and bring a textbook on computers technology, they brought or they didn't. But the rubric, we are using it as a scale, which can say a variety of items so that the students will get, one student will get 0 if they didn't do the task. Another student will end up getting 30, depending on the quality of their task. Another one will get 60. Another one will get 80. Another one will get even 90 and above. Why? What is the determining factor? Is the quality and even the quantity of the work they have done. Because sometimes I even say quantity and quality are important. Because sometimes I've gone to a restaurant and then I ordered a very expensive meal, but then they brought for me such a small amount. So the quality of the meal is so good, but the quantity is so small that when I come back home, I still find myself warming my leftovers for previous evening to eat. Why? Because I bought very expensive meal, which was very high quality, but the quantity was not satisfying me. So that's why I'll talk about the idea of balancing quality and quantity. That's what we are talking about in terms of a checklist and a rubric. So let me show you an example. So here's a student who has given me a sample rubric. So the student has started with 0 to 49 and decided that this will be the mark and this will be the description for that competence that is being assessed. And this will be the criteria to see whether that competence has been achieved or not. So the student who has 0 to 49, they failed. Why? They were not able to demonstrate knowledge. They had so much irrelevant, the structure of their work. I've seen exams where the lecturers are giving students marks for structure because they want to force the students to put their work in a logical manner. So there was the absence of the things that were required. And then satisfactory, the learner only merely understood. But there's a depletion, okay? Then there's meritorious. The learner, they has been able to divide them into 2. One of them has addressed a bit of the questions, and then the other one is quite good in terms of presenting the facts, okay? But there's a bit of lack of argument. But here we have, again, outstanding on 2 levels. One is on this level, and the other one is outstanding on this level. Why? Because of the difference in terms of just small things. The first here is very good. Information is collected. Resources, maybe they are used, but to a minimum, okay? Application of the skills, knowledge, and value is there, but maybe it is not as adequate. But when you see here, there's an exciting turn, good turn of phrases, evidence, of referencing. The learner has gathered sufficient information from the library. The students have used the referencing, anything, PowerPoints, content, images, text, like the ones we're doing on our lesson plan. Those are the things I will be looking at. I showed you an example of a PowerPoint where the learner had prepared a very good PowerPoint using videos, you put a YouTube video, images, content, appealing. So there's an application. We remember that PowerPoint we looked with you here on the lesson plan, which was quite interesting. So that's what we are talking about when we are saying, when I'm looking at the whole idea of making the lesson appealing. There's somebody who is looking on memory. Images, information, you see? Look at how important this work is. I don't know what it's supposed to be. It is a video. The learner has interacted a video inside on what is memory.
Applications a place to store if you want to access data from a spreadsheet. The more of it you have, the better.
You see, they are teaching us what is a memory, images, and these images are in your textbook for IS 210, which you can actually copy. And I don't mind, look at that. The students have taken time to prepare very good information so that some of them are text from work, but some of them you can see the student has actually prepared it. Is that not very interesting? That's where now you see the difference in performance. You see, that's where now you ask, how come somebody else has gotten better than another? Because the student has taken time to prepare such an interesting. Look at how interesting that work is. The student is showing us how you can use various purchasing decision. If I just want to use a computer for home use, I can buy 2 gig because I'm not a heavy user. But if I'm going to use it for another particular purpose, I will need one which has more multimedia and games. And then if I need to use it for business and web designing and other and database and all that, I can go for higher. You see? Then the students is telling us, you understand that there's the dynamic RAM and the static RAM. And then this one, they also influence the price of that RAM. Okay? Look at that, how excellent that work is. Look at how excellent. You know, and these students, they were writing so many assignments. If you saw their work was a lot, and yet they were giving me such high level of work, such high quality work. Interesting. The student is actually preparing this work. That's what I was talking about. So when it comes to assessment, then I will assess the learner depending on how they have done. Remember, I'm doing this because it will also help us. This one is doing on technologies, objectives. What are we going to learn? What are the skills and the knowledge the learners are going to achieve? An outline. An outline is coming from the lesson plan.
Now, a network is any system of things that are connected to each other.
You see, what is a network? The students showed us. So you can see, that's what I mean by somebody who has taken time to prepare their work versus somebody who has not done so. And you know, some students, they even went to the internet and copy and paste. They go and download a PowerPoint and give me. Can you imagine? So that automatically becomes a fail because they go to the internet and just take a PowerPoint and give me as it is. They go to, I don't know which website they go. The website gives them a PowerPoint and they give me. Look at this student there. This one, the students were teaching us. Every student was teaching us a topic. This student was teaching us one topic. And we really learned from one another. I gave each student a topic and the student taught us. I'm just giving you an example of how a rubric comes about because of the various differences in performance. Okay? So let me look at another example of a rubric. And remember, you are going to include these rubrics in your assignment, in your assignment too. So today we are doing two things. We are looking at the test, and we are also preparing ourselves for. We are preparing ourselves for. So you see here, I put this yesterday on that link that I sent to you. So these are the elements: learner assessment, grade 11, computer application technology, total marks is 70. So this is, they are going to look at two companies that manufactures processors. And then the students are going to create a PowerPoint presentation, and then they'll present it in the classroom. So the learners are going to be given a checklist by the teacher to say, did they do that? Yes or no? Okay. Did your presentation include a company history, size? So you can give this one to the learners in advance so that the learners know exactly what is required of them. That's the purpose of a checklist. It can be giving the learners in advance. Okay, and then you can award them mark to make them more motivated. And then here is the rubric: 0, non-existence of the things that are required, unacceptable, it needs improvement, satisfactory, excellent, among others. And then the student is also getting 70. And then the students decide to put a key there: overall feedback by the educator. Because when you give the learner 2, 1, 4, 5, and then some comments, then you can tell them overall what was your conclusion about their work. Yes. But I prefer, if we are going to use this, I don't know, this is an image. I prefer using this in terms of I would prefer to use to say here text as a heading, and then I look at the various components of a text in terms of color, font. I want it to be interesting. I want you to have a big heading here, and then so that all these ones they become part of this, and then you put them in bullets or something. I don't know. Yes, then you put here in bullets. That's what I would prefer. I want you to have a heading followed by a subheading. That's what I'm asking you to do. Then here you come and talk about, maybe I can call it images or graphics. I can call it graphics. Graphics, I call it graphics there. And then I want you to put bullets under the graphics in terms of appropriate images, how relevant are the images? Okay, what are the components of the images? Because somebody can put images, but they are not the same. It depends on how that image is used. How appropriate is that image? Somebody may just go and just put an image of students. How is that helping me? That's why you want the learner to understand. Yes, there is more to graphics than just putting for me image. How is that image connected to what you are teaching? That's why I've been asking you to say figure 2, and then you discuss figure 2. Otherwise, you're going to put a figure there and it's not linking to the task. And is it fitting? What is the purpose? And then you can come and now you come with others, and then you can select what will be the others in terms of the slides and whatever. Or yeah, in fact, the students have done exactly that. Yes, the slide design. Yes, I hadn't seen this one. Content, you see, delivery. Yes, the students have done that. I hadn't seen. I think it's because this one came on top here. This may be supposed to be here. Yes, it's supposed to. Yes, at least I can see that. Yes, I hadn't noticed. So the students has talked about designing, text, graphics, animation, and then there's the content itself. how relevant is the content, how important is the content, and then the delivery of that presentation. So the learners can be able to see exactly where the marks are going. So you can see that's a rubric, and then this is still another rubric. Yes. So this rubric is telling us more of the things that here, but this other rubric is telling us the information there. And then 0, 1 up to 5, which I like it like that. And then you can write here. Yes, and then here is the learner assessed by and the date and so forth. This looks very interesting. So decide on whichever you want to use, provided it is relevant. I hope that has helped the learners. Any question? If there's no question, I'm going to move to the next. If there's a question, you ask. So because I don't hear any question, let me move to the next question. Yeah, if you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask. So again, I'm going to look at this one in terms of here you are just graduated from Edgewood, and now you are going to a new school and you want to start bringing in your innovation, and you have gone into a school that is already embracing innovation. Okay, and this school is well equipped with the resources. Okay, and when you are a student in Edgewood, you learn a great deal about assessment, because assessment is an component of teaching. Okay, then you learned how to create both traditional testing and then you also have and now you are going into that new school which is not using the traditional testing program, but they have implemented an innovative approach to teaching and learning, and they are using alternative assessment. Alternative means the other way. Okay, so students are not assigned grades, and all assessment is based on their skills, knowledge, and the values that they achieve. You see? Because if I look at the other way, I would insert a table there and say this is traditional learning, and also the alternative. Yes, alternative. Alternative means on the other hand, consequently. You see, substitute, different, unconventional, unusual. You see, this is what the word alternative means. I hope you can see those words. And then here we have traditional, which means the old way. It's not bad. I don't mind. It's not bad. Yes, I don't even want to call it old fashioned. I just want to call it the classic, you know. Traditional is more classical. But we cannot say that we are going to do away with it. But in this particular school, they are only using alternative. So now I want you to write your argument. And I want you to argue both for and against. Okay, I want you to give me both sides of the coin. Both for supporting, I will email you this work. Support that strategy by that of that school, support it, and then the other one is go against. Yes, and in this case, now you'll be supporting traditional. Yes, in this case, you'll be supporting traditional. So I want you to support the school. You say, okay, that's a good strategy of going via the alternate, the other way. And then I want you to go against and say, on the other hand, I don't think it is so good to go 100% via the alternative method. So I want you to, so what are we doing? Here we are supporting constructivism. because that's what they are using. They're using constructivism method. And then you go and support the traditional. You tell them, on the other hand, there are some very important things that we can learn from behaviorism. I don't know who can give us an example, please. I would like to hear students supporting. Who is going to support the traditional method and tell the school, yes, it's good you're using the alternative constructivism, but I think you are missing something by doing away 100% with traditional. Let me hear Makosazana. What is the benefit? I'm asking Makosazana, what is the benefit of the school also doing a bit of traditional method of assessment? What are they missing?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Okay, this school, and please, everybody to listen carefully so that you can help Makosazana. This is not a question for one student. This school is using alternative assessment to assess learners. And alternative assessment is more of constructivism way of assessing learners, whereby they are not giving grades. The students are based on their skills, knowledge, experience, and attitude and values. This school is not using traditional assessment. Who can give me an example of a traditional assessment method? That's what I would ask Makosazana. Give me an example of a traditional assessment.
Test.
Maybe tests, yes, good.
Assignment.
Assignment, it can be, but it's mostly traditional assessment. We are looking at Q&A, multiple choice. Yes, true or false. That's what we are looking at in terms of traditional assessment. So that's what the school is not doing. So what are they missing from not doing this? That's what I want to ask somebody else. Sipokazi, what is the school missing by not doing this kind of assessment? Are they missing something? Sipokazi? Is the school missing something by not doing true and false and tests and multiple choice? Lungile?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the school missing by not doing this? Are they losing on something?
Yes.
Example?
If the test help the teacher to see the progress of the learners on a certain topic or concept. So if the school is not doing any of this, they won't be able to evaluate the student progress.
Yes, exactly. When I was in Kenya, I was teaching in a school like this one. I was teaching in a school like this one, and they did not have these. They did not have tests. They did not have multiple choice. They did not have exams. They did not have any of those things. They did not have them in that school that I was teaching. Everything was alternative. A student comes in the front, they do their oral presentation, then you give them marks. We give them an assignment, then at the end of the year, we'd call the parents, and because it was a small school, we discussed with the parent, well, what has your child be doing? But we never used to even grade the learners. We just tell we would do an oral meeting with the parent and just tell the parent, yes, each teacher would talk with the parent. I was teaching maths and chemistry in that school. Then it would be my session to talk to the parents and tell the parent, your child has so far learned some algebra, your child has learned some, because I have to keep a report. You have to keep a report on each child. And then I would keep a report on their chemistry performance. And then I would tell them, they would sit with the child sits with the parent, and then you tell them the areas of weaknesses, what needs to be done, what needs to be done. But in that school, when they are doing that, those students, they are not planning on going to the traditional university. Why do you think those students are not going to go to the traditional university, Philippa?
I think it's because they don't have any.
Continue. Continue.
I'm still on, ma'am. Yeah. As well as you said that that school only does alternative assessment, so which means there's no standardized tests that gets done in that school. So then, like, the grading system is not according to the rest of the education systems, you know, grading. So like there's no thing to compare to, in a sense. Like there's no standard how can I say, as a standard system where you can actually measure different schools and all of that.
Exactly.
So that is why they don't end up going to universities.
Yes. So in that school, I was teaching in a school called Augustine. The parents, that's the problem with this kind of educational system. It becomes an educational system for the privilege, because the parents in that school, they were paying 100,000. You know, they were paying so much money. So what are we saying? These students, the parents had already prepared their visas. They had already prepared everything for them to go to America, because in America, they have that kind of a curriculum. You know, that kind of curriculum is highly accepted in so many of those universities. Because those universities in America, what you do, once they finish their grade 12, they would write the exam for America called TOEFL or something, you know, and those TOEFL, they don't test you in terms of, they test you in a very different manner. That's what the students were geared to. So they were geared to going into those American kind of education system. Even if it was not, there were some of them, they never physically went to America, but we have such universities now teaching. And those are the kind of, that's where now we are seeing it's a good strategy, but it is limiting the students' opportunities, even into going into the traditional universities, into integrating into the traditional ways of teaching. You know, so it has its goodness and it has its limitations. That's what I'm asking you to think in terms of, are we going to propose, we do away with assessments and then we assess the learners based on the assignment that they are doing, or are we going to go for both? That's what I want you to do. And then discuss 2 alternative assessments. So here, I want you to discuss things like project-based, because those are the things that they were doing. They were doing project-based assessment, and they're here in this textbook. I was teaching in that school, chemistry and mathematics, and this is what we are doing. We're assessing our learners like this. This is what we are doing. We are using this. This is what we are using. So that's what you're going to select in. That's what the students were doing in that St. Augustine. And then I would share their project with the teachers. There was an advantage and there was a limitation. The advantage was that the learners had become so self-regulated. They had become so self-regulated. And this was really there in that school, that learning community. The scaffolding was making the learners very, very growing independence. The learners were able to construct knowledge, because I had taught previously in a government school. And in the government school, the learners were just cramming and memorizing. But in that school, St. Augustine, the learners were constructing knowledge. And the learners had become self-regulated learners. And in that school, I was able to provide the learners with different support strategies, which were not available in the government school. So the learners were doing a lot of role playing. and simulations. But the problem with that alternative assessment is that there was that problem of even class management was becoming an issue, because the students did not know the boundary between learning and talking, because there was a lot of role playing and oral. The learners would just go on and on and on, giving examples, and then you'd find that no learning has taken place. So there was advantages. So these are the advantages of that alternative. These are the pro. I call them pro. Pro means advantages of that alternative. I'll give you this work. That was the pro. But there was the con. Con is what I did not like about the idea of this. There's no standardized, as you have said. And you know the problem with that, the other problem with that is that the teacher will teach it with fear. There's that fear of failing a learner, because we are not supposed to talk about failing or telling students you are not doing well, you need to pull up your socks, you need to do this. It was all about you. I know you can do better. I know you that's kind of a thing. That's the problem with this innovative approach of learning. You don't tell the students as it is. You just tell the students, I know you can do better. So when you're talking about two alternatives, I'll give you this. You'll discuss any of these two: situated learning, problem-based learning, and discuss two alternative tools that you can use to meet the school standard, because the standard of the school must be used. And then you justify. You say, I think I would use project-based learning because now I'm a new teacher in that school to be able to meet the learning objectives. I'll use that. And then give me a why. Why do you think this would be appropriate? Especially for you as a new teacher, you might say a project-based learning might help better, because in that case, I'll be able to put in a rubric, not just necessarily for marks, but for showing students' performance. Yes, that's what I'll be able to integrate, I'll be able to integrate various elements that can make me to see that the students are learning. Yes, and then you can give them role playing. So select any of these two and then discuss and explain why you think it will work for that particular school. Inquiry based is mostly in science. It's about asking questions. That's how to inquire, is to find out, if I mix water with alkaline, will I get a base? If I do mix acid with water, if I mix, inquiry. Yes. And then role playing and simulation is whereby the learners, they come with a role play, they role play. You are a computer A, you are computer B, we are discussing, we are networking, and then they're able to see how a network works. A problem-based mostly is used in hospitals, in hospitals and by nurses. That's what they use in learning, even in the university. Problem-based, they are given a problem, and then they investigate the problem, and then they come up with the various solutions. Case-based is good. It is used mostly by lawyers, lawyers and accounting students. Yeah, because they are given a case. You are told you are a third-year accounting student. Your manager has told you that they have these issues they are facing in terms of inventory management, in terms of account receivables, and then you are given the case, and then you discuss. You say you help Mr. Mshilongo to solve the case with related to inventory and how they're having debt with inventory, how they can manage and how they can collect their debts. Okay, situated learning is whereby you create a situation whereby you anchor. You see, like now we are going through the COVID. I can create a learning problem that is situated around COVID, even though it is not even in science. It can even be in history, so that I tell the learners to go and find out what happened to the various pandemics that have ever taken place. Right? They go to and inquire from the internet the various pandemics that have taken place. What were the causes of the pandemics? what happened, how did the people came out to realize what was causing the pandemic, and so forth. I remember there was this pandemic where people were actually dying in a very, very big number. And this is a true story. And then, by the way, the learners, you can see my work. Can you see what I'm doing? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, because I wonder whether the sharing is actually, it's working. You can see.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So what is happening is that there was this pandemic that was in Britain the other time, and it was quite a while ago, quite a long time ago, and the people were dying in very big numbers. But the one person, it's a true story, was able to identify what was the problem. He said he was told so and so went and visited this and this place, and then when she came, she started getting ill, and then the person investigated, and the person came to discover that what was actually happening was that rats they cause a pandemic. There was that even the rats caused a very big pandemic. People died in a very big number in Europe, even during the time of Martin Luther, the first Martin Luther. There was a pandemic of rats, and the people they were not knowing that it is because the rats, they get infested, and when the rat gets infested, then the rat will bite you, and the rat will leave its feces, and if you breathe those feces of the rats, then you get the pandemic. Many people are dying. So that other person, he discovered that people who are dying were from a certain area. So the woman who died had visited her aunt, and then he went and discovered that there was a particular well. That well, a rat had died in that well, and the people were drinking the water from that well. That was one of the reason, or maybe, I don't know if it's a rat, or maybe they had dug the well too much into the graves, and maybe they were drinking the contaminated water from the graves, you see? So it's a situated learning, a scientist now situated and was able to discover why the people are dying. So that is what we are talking about, situated learning, whereby we make learning more relevant to a particular situation that we are going through. We can look at corruption, and then we talk about corruption as a situated learning. So you'll be able to do that. Can I move on to the next question? Is everything okay there?
Yes.
Okay. So let me move on to the next one. Consider this statement. Information system teachers, they need a combination of skills. 1/3 of is the technical skills, okay? The other 1/3 is the teaching skills, okay? And the other 1/3 is the communication skills, okay? There we go. Do you suppose this should be the case? Okay, that's number one. I'm not going to answer this question. I'm going to ask you we talk together. How would the above combination affect the training of teachers? Okay. In other words, I want you to give recommendations to the Edgewood Board of Ed on how lectures or courses should be modified, or adapted to be able to include these 3 skills. Okay, and then lastly, but not, you are going to explain what is a theory. I explained what is a theory using the story of Jenny. And then I also discussed the practical role of a theory. We did that using this textbook. Yes, page 24. We did that already, so I'm not going to look at that. We said what is a theory. We said that a theory is different from a principle. In that, a theory is somebody who has observed what is happening with the pandemic, they are able to explain, and then they are able to predict, and then we can call it the theory of COVID. And then we can use that theory to avoid another COVID coming in. Okay, so that's why he came up with the theory of immunization, so that to help people not to go through the same thing again. Because if we do not develop a theory of coronavirus, we are going to experience the same coronavirus again and again and again. So we have the theory of learning, we have the theory of communication, we have the theory of management, we have the theory of of interpersonal skills. You know, all those are theories. So why is the theory important for us to understand? Is because when we understand the theories, we are able to apply ourselves when we are going to the classroom. When you go to the classroom, somebody who has understanding of theory will be very much different from somebody who does not understand theory. And you'll be able to select the theory and say, today I'm going to prepare my lesson plan around behaviorism, because I'm introducing this topic and I want the learners just to understand the key words. And then you're able to select the appropriate medium, you're able to select the learning context, and then you become that expert by understanding the theory. We talked about the theories: behaviorism perspective, information processing perspective, constructivism perspective. Those are the theoretical framework and foundations upon which we build our teaching and learning. So now I want you to tell me, is it important for the learners to possess these skills? Is it important for you to possess 1/3 in terms of technical know-hows of computing, 1/3 of the skills of teaching, and 1/3 of communication skills? Or what is your proposition? Sipokazi, do you think it is important for you to gain some communication skills as a teacher?
Yes, I think it is important.
Okay, tell us why.
So that I can be able to communicate with my students based on the content. And I can be able to answer some questions if you don't understand.
Exactly. Good. You know, good, that is very good. Because as in communication, you are the influencer. So if you can have all the content, and that's why I ask you, if somebody who has just done an IT degree should go and teach, that's where now that the question is coming in. Is it all about teaching the content, or is it even about how you communicate that content? That's what I'm asking. Now I'm going to go to the next student and ask them, I'm going to Treasure. Treasure, is it important for you to gain teaching skills?
Yes, it's important to gain teaching skills so that I can use them as strategies for learning, to teach my learners. Maybe the skill of maybe knowing how to scaffold. This is to help learners with their learning.
Excellent, Treasure. That's very good. With teaching skills, we are equipping the learners. I'm equipping you with the ability to go and not only communicate, but teach. That's what we talked about, the 3M: medium, methods, and materials. So for enhanced teaching and learning, it's all in this textbook. So that teacher A, who does not possess that teaching skill, will not be able to teach in an enhanced manner. But teacher B, who has been taught on how to use a variety of digital media tools, will be able to go and teach. Now the other one is, do we need the technical skills? Philippa, we are going to go to you. Is it important for us to gain the technical skills?
Yes, it is. In terms of if you are doing like computers, CAT, you have to know how to use the the systems and how to demonstrate how to go about using it in order for the learners to learn the content knowledge that they need for, you know, exams and tests that they will eventually write.
Okay, good. Now, okay, thank you. Now my question is, I want you to tell me whether you like the idea of 1 out of 3. That 1 out of 3. Because I want you to think out of the box. Or what do you propose? Yes, that's what I want to see, that you are a thinker. You can tell me, I don't like the idea of 1 out of 3. I think I would suppose that a teacher should gain more technical skills, because if they go to the classroom without the technical skills, even though they have learned how to teach, they will not be able to teach. So I want you to be able to tell me what is the best combination. You may tell me the best combination would be 2 out of 3. I'm just giving you my own example, followed by 1 out of 6. I suppose that will work. I don't know. I'm just trying to see whether that can work into bringing a whole. Yeah, it might. Yes. So that the pie, it's a pie. I want you to tell me how you're going to divide this pie. Which is the most important way you're going to divide this pie. So I want you to think out of the box and not just tell me yes, you agree. I'm just going to copy this, but you can use and you know, come up with a way of using a pie. There are even pies here. This is just an example. There's a pie, and then you can. I want you to draw. Yes, I want you to draw a pie. Yes, draw a pie and tell me how you are going to divide. Yeah, then you can put an arrow here and tell me this would be technical skills. This should be, yes, so that I can see whether you are saying the whole half should be technical skills. Why? So the teacher is grounded with the knowledge, with the content, and then you can say, then the other will be that and that. Because if the teacher knows the content, then with a bit of teaching and communication, learning will take place. So don't just go and say, I accept, and then give recommendations. These are the kind of recommendations you say, let us adapt, let us adopt, let us modify the existing content so that to incorporate all the 3, so that the learners, they are able to be taught technical skills, they're able to be taught teaching skills, and they're able to be taught communication skills. I want to see your insights, how you would propose, because this is your opportunity now for you to propose what you think should be happening. Okay, so I'm done with that one. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. Then I'm going to do the last 2. So let me look at Bloom's. Bloom's, we are talking about Bloom's taxonomy. I am going to go through the PowerPoint and show you what the Bloom's taxonomy is about. They wrote this in the exam, and it's very important. So let me show you the Bloom's taxonomy. So this one is already there but I will also email it again. So this is the Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom came up with this taxonomy of creating. Now, creating was reversed after he passed away. He came up with evaluating, analyzing, applying, understanding, and remembering. So what are we creating? We are generating new ideas, products, or ways of viewing things designing or constructing, planning and producing. He never came up, he didn't propose creating, but somebody else did. Then the other one is evaluating. And then there's analyzing. And then there's applying, understanding, and remembering. That's a Bloom taxonomy. So these are the levels that he came up with. But somebody else, one of his students included creating. So that's what the Bloom taxonomy is about. It's about helping the learners not only to gain critical thinking skills, but they're also going to gain creative thinking skills, and they're going to become convergent, bringing together. Okay, so let me just go. So Bloom's taxonomy, in essence, we are talking about arranging tasks in terms of lower order thinking and higher order thinking. Okay, it's the same thing that has to do with metacognition. So here we are asking questions to do with evaluation, questions to do with synthesis, questions to do with analysis, and questions to do with comprehending and knowing. Knowing is knowing when, what. Describing is a comprehension. In comprehension, we are organizing. Application, we are applying into a real authentic environment. Analyzing, we are separating the whole into different parts. Classify, outline. Synthesizing, we are combining of ideas to form a new whole. Okay, and then we are evaluating. So we are moving all the way from knowledge, from knowing into applying, into creating. Okay, so let me just. I thought I have some more on Bloom. Yes, here is the keywords. So here are the keywords that we are going to use on remembering. So these are the keywords I want you to just put for me a few as you think it is relevant. The students will be able to memorize, to choose, to sort. So what are the kind of things that you'll give them for them to recall? Quizzes, workbook, you know, they do a vocabulary, a small test, labeling, true and false, yes, matching. Then what's the teacher's role here? It's more of instructivism. You are directing the learners. And what is it? The students are more instructivism, they are passive, they are absorbing, they are memorizing. But it is still not bad. It is so lower order thinking is using more of behaviorism. And then you can use something to help the students to be able to remember more. They recite a poem. In reciting a poem, they are learning English words. Then there's understanding. So here is now more of interpreting, inferring, and doing all that. Here are the key words. Now you see this is better. The other one was just basic, but now this is better. The learners are able to discuss, to do a bit of research, to describe, you know, what would be the products we can use, examples, a small quiz, you know, even listing, summarizing. Okay, then we go, the teacher role is changing now to more of demonstrating and listening. And the learners now, the role is shifting from being passive into doing a bit of explaining and demonstrating. Now they are becoming active participants. Okay, here is a way that you can help them in doing their work. They write a poem and perform a play based on a story. They outline the main points from that story. They illustrate a flow chart. Okay, then we move to applying. What are the students doing? They are executing, they are carrying out. What are the key words? Now they are translating, they are manipulating, they are operating. They're now here, they are demonstrating, they are dramatizing. They are using the content now in a different way. What is the product that you can use? The students can come and do a presentation. The students can do an illustration, okay? And then the role is changing further. The teacher now is becoming a facilitator of knowledge, and the students are becoming more problem solvers and illustrators, okay? And then here are ways you can help them. They can make a puzzle, a game, the story thing, writing a diary, illustrating, and so forth. Then now we are moving to analyzing. So what are we doing? We are comparing, outlining, and integrating. Okay, now there's more of relationship, just from mere understanding into integrating. Here again, the learner will be able to distinguish, experiment, investigate. What are the learners here is going to contrast, compare, debate, relate, categorize, which are the kind of tasks I'm going to give the learners, a database. Then they can be able to calculate the student's mark sheet, spreadsheets to calculate the student marks and so forth, a chart, a report, a survey, like I told you about going to Marian Hill to conduct a survey. Now the learners are not just, they are becoming now analyzers of that survey they conducted in Marian Hill. The role of the teacher is changing to one of probing, evaluating, and then the students are becoming now people who are thinking and arguing and investigating. Their inquiry learning is coming in. And then you can use different things, a questionnaire. They go to Marian Hill, ask people about the problems they are facing in the road, the number of accidents they have ever noticed going on there, problems that they would like to, whether they would like to see a new road, the road expanded. You go to families and ask them about the coronavirus, the pandemic or HIV. You know, the students now, they are actually doing a work. They are actually analyzing and studying the effect of HIV on communities. They are not just reading textbook, but they are actually doing it. Now we move to evaluating, where you can justify a decision or a course of action. Okay, so this is more in-depth, as we can see. Okay, and then we are checking, we are judging, we are testing, we are monitoring. So here, judge, revise, assess, evaluate, and measure. The keywords: choose, debate, you know, you create for them a question using these keywords. What will be the product? They'll come up with a report. They'll come up with an investigative about what is happening in the society with the COVID and pandemic. The teacher's role is now that one of scaffolding and guiding. And then the students are becoming now the ones who are actually judging. They're the ones who are justifying their argument. They're the ones who are assessing what is happening in the field. Then they can come up with a booklet on convincing people on how to prevent HIV from spreading, the role of computers in that area, and evaluating and telling a story. Then now we are moving into the other level that was proposed by Bloom. Bloom is a person. His student said, he revised the Bloom and said, I would prefer if we had creating, so that the learners are moving just from evaluating into coming up with something new. Okay, so the learners are inventors. They are coming up with something original. They are imaginative, they are generating. These are the keywords you use in creating your text. And then they can come up with a project, an advertisement to make people to become aware of HIV. They can come up with a song on how to prevent the spread of HIV. They can come up with a painting showing somebody who is suffering from HIV and the available medication that is available. Okay, they can come up with a film showing the various families how they have been affected by HIV, because HIV has an effect on drug abuse, prostitution, all that. You know, you bring to home all the things that would be avoided if at all you would be able to be acknowledging that HIV can be managed proactively. What is happening? The teacher role is changing into that of facilitating and helping the learners to come up with their story of what can be done. The students now, they are designers. They are designing a story that they will tell the world about HIV pandemic and what it can do. And they are creating something that is totally new. So they can develop a new monetary system if it's computers. They can devise a way of managing HIV. They can design a robot if it is computers. They can invent a new type of sport shoe that will help people to do basketball or football better. Okay, so that is what Bloom taxonomy is about. So that is what I want you to do. So what you're going to do is that you're going to discuss all that and then use the keywords, and then you're going to, I don't know whether I have an example here. let me quit. I want to quit here because if I quit, I'll be able. Yes, I think I have the questions here. These are the kind of questions I want you to ask in each, just one question, but it has to be related to computers. So maybe if I what you're going to do is, let me go here and show you an example. But yeah, I'll look at the example of other students' work. You'll use all this, and then, because I'm using this as a teachable moment for us to learn a whole topic. So you'll discuss them there, you discuss what this one means, and then you'll use let me show you what we are going to do. This is far much better. But I'll check whether I have one for the learners. You'll insert a table here. You'll insert a table, and then you headings, and then here you'll say the label. Here, you say like remembering, you say the label here, then you say remembering. But I don't want a table, I'm just giving you. I would prefer you just discuss without using the table. The table will make you not to elaborate. Yes. Remembering, and then tell me what this means. Okay, discuss that, what remembering means, and then from there, give me the keywords. We have discussed them. Label, list, okay, memorize, and then write for me a question here that relates with the computers. What I don't know. I can say list. Okay. An example of remembering. You know, label. I don't know the label. You know, label the following. Label the following. The following diagram. That's an example. Or match the following. Something like that. So that's what I want you to do. Tell me what this means, the keywords that you're going to use. I've already shown you on the PowerPoint, and then tell me the question you're going to use. I hope this is making sense now. There, remember, tell me the keywords, and then write for me a question specific to computers. Yes, that's what we are going to do. Because we use Bloom's taxonomy in preparing an exam, so that the teacher examines the students in terms of lower order thinking. That is the one that is below in terms of and then the higher order thinking. So lower order thinking, higher order thinking, and the teacher is supposed to make this in terms of a student who just have lower order thinking can get 40% in doing the exam, and then the other part of the exam will entail assessing the learner's higher order thinking. So that you are forcing now the learners to, at least you're giving every student an opportunity to get 40%. And then from there now, the test becomes a bit challenging. That's what it is. You can see mine, I started with multiple choice, label, list, do. So lower order thinking, and then smaller questions, and then higher questions. Now, last but not least, here you are going to, that student of Bloom, he came up with creating. I'll give you an examples of other students' work as another one. I want you to come up with your own. So look at this table and tell me what do you think is missing, and then insert. Tell me, I propose so and this and that. I want you to be creative and propose for me. Propose another level. Propose another level, and then in that level, you do like this. You tell me, this is the level I'm proposing, and this is what it will be. It will mean this. It will entail the following keywords, and this is an example. That's what I want you to do. So before now, I'm not going to look at this one because we have already looked at this. Here we have three interconnecting I'm about now to finish because I'm going to finish now. 3, interconnecting. You discuss any one. You can discuss resources. You can discuss learning support. You can discuss learning tasks. So discuss any one of these and say, I'm going to discuss learning tasks. And you do it comprehensively. You do it comprehensively, and then you discuss and say, learning task will be all about this, and then discuss it, and then apply. We did about initial knowledge and expert knowledge. This one you will be able to do. I'm about to finish because now we have already done the self-regulated and self-monitoring. It's on this PDF. This question is a question that you can be able to answer. A learning contract, if you copy this, you come here, Control F here, you'll be able to find what's the learning contract. It's a contract between the teacher and the learner, like a scale, like a checklist. With this, that's what a learning contract is about. Yes, learning contract. Please, whereby we know the responsibility of the teacher and the responsibility of the learners. That's what is a learning contract. I usually have a learning contract with my PhD students. Yes, if I don't know whether I can be able to show you here. Whenever I have a PhD student, I have a learning contract with them because that helps me. Helps me when the student is not doing their work. You see, even when we are doing Zoom meeting, I usually send them a Zoom meeting like this. I tell them I'm looking forward to the Zoom meeting on 25th of May at Tuesday at 2 p.m. You will answer the following question. You see, these are learning contracts that I normally do with the learners. I have many learning contracts with the learners because if I don't do that, the students are just going to drive me crazy. You understand? So I give them a learning contract so that they know letter of intention. I have so many of the learning contract with the learners. Because if I don't have a learning contract with them, there will be no, I don't know where they are. Yes, appointment of supervisor. There are so many learning contracts I have with the learners. Even another, this is just a smaller one. I have a bigger one whereby I said the learner's responsibility, and then we sign. A schedule is a timeline. You know, a learning schedule where you're teaching the students to be able to manage their time smart. Yes, that's what is a schedule. Okay. So integration of technology, use this textbook on how to integrate. To integrate is to bring together those medium, methods, and materials. And then the other one, identify 3 significant trends. You know, what is happening? Here I want to talk about the COVID. What is the impact of COVID? What is the trend? What is happening? Trends, what is happening? What do you think is happening? I want you to be somebody who will be telling me stories that I don't know. How things are changing. Robotic, I don't know. I want you to be able to tell me something I don't know of the trends that are going to impact teachers. We have seen Zoom. We have seen strategies. Discuss 3. You must tell me number 1 and number 2. Number 3, I want you to tell me the trends, the fashion. Now, what are the trends that are going to impact teachers, robots, digital learning, Zoom, anything, okay? This other one, discuss any 2 issues that we can face when we are integrating. To integrate is to bring together. To integrate is to bring together text, animation, videos, and graphics. To integrate is to bring together traditional and modern. So these are the issues that teachers are facing right now with these Zoom things and online learning. Equity. Equity means equality. Technology is supposed to be an educational equalizer. Educational equalizer, making people equal, but that might not be the case. You know, we are having digital divide because of technology. They have, but they have not. That is equity. So these are the students are telling me they are not able to do my work because they don't have computers. That's what I mean with equity. So these are the issues that we are facing at the moment. Another one is access issue. Access, it means accessibility. Access means that we could have access in terms of the disability. That's an access. Because some students, they came to UKZN, they came to UKZN and they did not go to UNISA because they wanted the physical access to laboratory, to library, to teachers, to education, because maybe they have a disability. But now that has been denied. Access in terms of access to the lab, access to the resources. That's what I want you to talk about here. There is this textbook. Legal issues we are facing, ethical, plagiarism. Here I'm talking about things like plagiarism, copyright. Because I can go and start copying this book for you. It can be against the law for me to copy a book more than 5%. Plagiarism, copyright, fair use. You know, fair use. Fair use, I'm supposed to use only 5% of this textbook if I'm going to copy for you. But if I photocopy the whole book for you, is a problem. Security issues. We have heard of people hacking Zoom, hacking computer work that is sensitive for company. These are things that are happening. Legal, you can even, students can even go to and start going against the university saying we have not been taught, because that's not what we bought. When I enrolled in UKZN, I was not going for Zoom learning. So I haven't learned. So these are the legal issues that we are facing. Use of materials, copyright, you know, and so forth. I'm about to finish. Have I helped the students? Have you learned? Lungile, I want to hear each student say one thing. Have you gained something? Lungile,
Yes.
You'll be able to do the test based on what we have done today.
Yes, I will be able to do it.
Thank you. Hipokazi, is everything clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Makosa sana. Any problem? Or
No problems, ma'am.
okay. Treasure.
No problem, ma'am.
Philippa, any
I just need
question?
to go through this thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Philippa?
So I just wanted to find out, the test will be on everything that we covered today only.
Yes, everything that we have covered today only. All that we have done today. Yes. Please, you are going to use a handwriting. You are going to write legibly. Then you are going to scan for me. Then you are going to email me. I will send you a link tomorrow or in the afternoon, if I have some time, of the test that the students did. I'm going to send you that link. You download those tests the students did and look at how they did. Then you ask yourself, why did this student get 60? Why did this student get 90? Some students have got good marks. I want you to download the work that I will email you the link, because you learn from others, so that when you answering this question, you don't tell me, Dr. Gachie, I never knew what you wanted. I want you to write both quality and quantity. I'll send you a link, maybe today or tomorrow. Download those assignment tests for the students. Look at how they wrote. They were not typing, they wrote with the hand. They wrote legibly. They scanned and emailed me as an attachment. Okay? That's what we will do. So Lauren, are you okay? Yes, Lauren, I'm hoping you are good. So if you don't have any question, I will end the lecture. And then if you have any question, ask me. We can always communicate via email I hadn't even seen this the chat. Now I'm happy now we can see one another. And I hope you have seen the screen share has worked, because I can't be able to tell whether actually it is working or not. But because I'm going to email you this video, I'm going to email you all the other resources for the other students, I know you are going to do well. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, students. And you'll write the test next week. So next week, we are not going to have a Zoom lecture. You are going to use next week to do the test. Then we'll meet on the other week. Thank you very much. Bye. Okay.